Good morning, everyone. Can we say good morning? Good morning. A blessed day to be here. You know, we think about time and how long it takes to clean up a issue in District 8. This process started back in 2018 when we first started litigation. And at that time called Shingle Mountain, now the Blue Star. And we started cleaning up in 2020. I just want to say good morning. Thank you for being here today. This is a very important milestone for Florida Farm, community in the southern sector, and the city of Dallas. I wish to welcome our special guest, State Representative Tony Rose, Carlos Evans with Environmental, and also our community activist, Marsha Jackson, who have been a champion to make sure we got environmental justice throughout the city of Dallas, especially in the southern part of Dallas. There will be opportunity to ask questions at the end of this press conference, but just look behind you and you think many, many years how this happened. How was Shingle Mountain formed? And what is Shingle Mountain? This environmental was not caused by Shingle Mountain. Again, it was not caused by Shingle Mountain. It started back in the 70s when it was a landfill, when people just dumping their debris on this property. Instead of going to landfill, they decided to dump their debris on this property. The cleanup had begun on Shingle Mountain. As you look, Shingle Mountain is gone. No more shingle. But we still got environmental issues. We still got contaminated soil on the Shingle Mountain property. This cleanup, again, had nothing to do with Shingle Mountain. And in just a few minutes, you'll see the bulldozer moving the earth, taking this dirt to McCormick landfill, and also bringing dirt back as we clean up Florida Farm. The environmental justice throughout District 8, lane plating. We got two major environmental issues in District 8, Shingle Mountain, Florida Farm, and lane plating. But one good thing, we have the money and the funding to clean it up. And this site right here, we're going to clean this up to residential standard. Again, residential standard. That's what we're going to clean it up to. And we don't know what we're going to do with it after it clean up. We still got Forward Dallas. We still got authorized hearing. And they're going to be up to the community to make their decision. As we did Shingle Mountain, we will have a dashboard that you can monitor the cleanup process in real time. We're going to have an air monitor in the same place that we had when we had that doing cleanup Shingle Mountain. And one good thing, we got the same company who removed all the shingles is the same company going to remove the dirt, the environmental waste from here. So we are experienced. This is not a first run of the show. This is a second and a third part run of the show. We know how to get it right. And we're going to get this right for the community. And I still, got to say, Miss Jackson, someone who lived here, right behind this facility, had the time and the patience, knocking on doors, and keep knocking on doors to get this done. But I also want to thank my city council members who had the nerve to make sure we put money in place to clean this up. I could not do it alone without my council member. So far, we're going to probably spend in taxpayer money and your tax money going to be way over $3 million in cleaning this process up. We already spent over $1.5 million already just to remove the shingle. We're going to spend another $1.5 million to remove the debris here and bring dirt back here to make sure we have a residence standard on this property. But why are we here today? And I think it's a blessing to be here. Because 2 years ago, we never thought this day was going to come. We waited. We marched. I mean, it was unbelievable. Put security here to keep people away. But one thing we're going to make sure of, it's going to be safe during the cleanup. We're going to make sure when the trucks move in and move out, they are going to be covered. Debris is not going to be flying in the street. We're going to make sure it's safe. We are going to police it. But we also want residents to stay away from this site until we clean it up. Because it is a health issue. And we want to make sure everyone is safe. And so I want to make sure that today that we are making a public announcement. Wait till we clean it up. Then we give you the clean bill of health to come out and look at it. And with that, I cannot move any further without State Representative Tony Rose. And State Representative Tony Rose at the state, always, when we called her, she always comes to our rescue. And she comes with money, and she also comes with a plan. And that's why we got State Representative Tony Rose here today to make a few remarks. State Representative Tony Rose.
Good morning. I guess you already said good morning. You don't want to say it again. But good morning. I'm so pleased to be here today. This is a wonderful day, a day that we have waited for so long. It's a great day for the city of Dallas. It's a great day for the southern sector. It's a great day for all of the communities that have been impacted by the 60-foot tall, 100,000-pound shingle mountain. You know, the southern sector should not be the default zone for companies to dump their toxic waste. It just should not be. And I'm extremely pleased that the city is moving forward in the next steps of the cleanup process, remediating the affected soil that it can be returned to its natural health. I'd like to thank the city of Dallas again and Mayor Pro Tem Atkins, for working diligently to make sure that this day came to fruition. I'm especially appreciative of Mayor Pro Tem Atkins' leadership throughout this entire process. He was very diligent in keeping the community engaged, having community meetings, making sure that everyone was informed of what was going on. And I just want to thank you for doing that. And I want to also acknowledge the efforts of all of the advocates. As Mayor Pro Tem Atkins stated, there were many people out here protesting and making sure that this site was removed from our community. In particular, I want to just acknowledge Marsha Jackson, because one of the things that people don't realize, you have community advocates that come out and they protest, and then, things get resolved. But she took her advocacy all the way to the Texas House of Representatives, or to the Texas legislature. I filed a bill that would require companies, if they come into a community and there were adverse reactions to it, or they had an adverse reaction on the communities, that they could not just relocate to another location and start their company over. And we were able to get, during the 87th legislative session, we were able to get it all the way to the House floor. We were not successful, but anyone who knows Tony Rose know that I don't have an issue with the long game, and we will continue to work towards that. But her testimony was so compelling because so many people thought it wasn't going to go anywhere. There were lobbyists who were lobbying against it, saying that, they did, of course, the people with the chemical council and all, they were advocating against it. But her testimony was so compelling about how it had impacted the communities in Dallas that we were able to get it to the House floor. And we will continue to work on that. And I just like to thank you, Marsha, for, sounding an alarm. And I just really hate the impact that it has had on you and your family. And I just pray that, your health is restored, and that you make sure that you and I know one of the issues that really I believe impacted everyone is your granddaughter, not even being able to visit you. That is just inhumane. And so I'm glad that we're here today, and I look forward to the next chapter in the Southern Sector and a new beginning for this property. Thank you.
The next person on the program would be Carlos Evans with the City of Dallas Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. And this is a person who came in, not at the beginning, but he came in the middle of it. And he is the one that we got to applaud him because he took it to the next step to make sure everything financially and make sure it's safe to remove it. Here is Carlos Evans.
Good morning. And Carlos Evans, the Director of Office of Environmental Quality and Sustainability. Let me first, before I get started, because I'll talk about the cleanup itself, let me first thank Ms. Marsha Jackson. We appreciate her voice and the voice of other community members in this process. They've been helpful, critical in this planning process, and will continue to be so as we complete this action. I'd like to thank Mayor Pro Tem Atkins, State Representative Tony Rose, City Manager Broadnax, the entire City Council for their leadership in making sure we get this done. And I want to thank our sister department, Director Cliff Gillespie, who's here today, and the Department of Sanitation for being an outstanding partner in this effort. So, the cleanup itself. As Mayor Pro Tem Atkins said, this has nothing to do with the shingles. What happened was a previous owner in the 1970s and 80s brought lead-contaminated fill to the site. So, and we identified that problem in 2021, just before acquiring the property. So, again, nothing to do with the shingles, really deals with the owner in the 1970s and 80s bringing lead-contaminated debris. Let's briefly talk about the cleanup itself. Over the last few months, we've been working with TCEQ to develop a remediation plan. And this month, TCEQ approved that remediation plan. So that's where we're moving forward today. So a little bit about the remediation plan itself. The plan calls for removing all lead-contaminated soil, so that's approximately 1,500 cubic yards of lead-contaminated soil, and all fill. So all told, we'll be taking out 40,000 cubic yards of soil. Ultimately, the response action will address all regulatory needs and will not require any use restrictions, which is the strictest cleanup standard. So let's talk about the hauling and dumping of soil. So as Mayor Pro Tem Atkins said, we'll wet the soil first, and then we'll place that wetted soil onto truck beds. And our contractor for that is Q Roberts Trucking. We'll then cover the truck beds. We'll make sure that we do not overfill any truck beds, and we'll take that to the McComas Bluff landfill. We'll also follow strict site-specific health and safety plan, and we'll start soil removal today, as you see. Typically, we'll be running from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and we plan to complete site activities by the week of October 30th. So let's talk about the soil coming to the property. The clean soil will be brought in from the backside of the McComas Bluff landfill, away from the landfill. I'm sorry, from the backside of the McComas Bluff property, away from the landfill. The soil has been tested and is suitable for the site. The clean soil will be used to grade the site and provide a gentle slope to the adjoining property. So let's talk about, as Mayor Pro Tem Atkins talked about, the air monitors. Well, we've installed 3 off-site air monitors. We installed those in July to get background data. They will continue to collect data while site activities are occurring. In addition, we'll be conducting on-site air monitoring to better protect our workers. Again, and we'll wet the soil with water as a dust control. Let's talk about stormwater protection. The site is already vegetated pretty well, as you see, on-site, both on-site and off-site, which is providing good stormwater controls. Additional stormwater controls will be in place throughout the cleanup, and the city will conduct inspections to verify compliance with the site's stormwater pollution prevention plan. Best management practices and inspections will continue until the site is restored and has appropriate vegetation. So the dashboard, as Mayor Pro Tem Atkins said, we will have an online dashboard. Updated language should be up this week. We can provide you the link to that dashboard. The dashboard will provide daily updates on truckloads of soil removed and estimated volume amounts, and air quality monitoring data. After site activities are complete, we plan to submit a completion report to TCEQ within 30 days of completing site activities. Ultimately, our goal is to obtain a certificate of completion from TCEQ that notes that all actions have been completed and the property meets the residential use standard, as Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Atkins said, which is the strictest cleanup standard. So with that, we can take some questions afterwards. But first, I'll hand it back to Mayor Pro Tem Atkins.
He made one statement that I'm going to repeat. He said we're going to clean it up to the highest standards possible. And that's why I want to introduce you to Marsha Jackson, because she is a resident. She lives here. So you're going to do something, let's do it the right way. So with that, Marsha Jackson, you want to say a few words?
Good morning. I want to thank my state representative, Tony Rose, and my mayor pro tem. Also, I always have to thank my co-chair, Alan McGill, for always being by my side. And thanks for Carlos, the city of Dallas. But this is a great day. You know, I won't be here long because standing outside, it take my voice constantly. But after 2018 to where we are now, it will usually take years and years to get to where we are now. And I thank you so much for listening to it. That's what it takes for us to sit there at that table and discuss what's really going on out here in our community. But I also want to thank Robert Roberts, Trucking, because the truckers out here and all the workers, you know, it takes so many to sit here and say, thank you so much. But I will say, look at God. If you see tears running down my eyes because you guys don't know what I've gone through and what my community gone through because of Shingle Mountain. But I still go to therapy, but I'm still thankful. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Like I said, thank you for where we are now, because we started out being alone. And now we're all here together. Just look around and see where we are. So thank you so much. I'm looking for the completion of this remediation back to the residential standards. Thank you.
It's kind of like that. I don't want to go behind that statement. You know, residential standards. You hear from a resident. I mean, we go environment and justice, West Dallas. You look at the lane plating. You look at Shingle Mountain. And I got to say, Tony Road with TCEQ, what you're doing now, we're notifying people. When some change come in here, Tony Road, we had a meeting last week, you know, down there testifying. Don't bring this environment and justice in our neighborhood. And because people got to live for it. And one thing, we got to make sure we got a health standard. We got to come with some kind of health standard that when the people who live around this environment, what is going to affect them generation down the road? We got to. Again, thank you. With that, is in the question. We're going to open up for questions. So if you got any questions, let us know.
Sir, what are the plans for the property?
Pardon?
What are the plans for the property?
Right now, we're going to bring it up to residential standard. And that's what the city want to do. Right now, we got an authorized hearing. We got the resident meeting together to figure out what they want to do with it. But first, we got to clean it up. Let's get to the resident standard first. Then we figure out what we do with the property and what is the best use for the community.
You expand on what some of the impacts were before the cleanup started, you know, as far as the community goes, what the community was dealing with for so long?
I think that the impact of the community is, number one, you drive down and you see trailer full of shingle just dumping in here. You say, why do they go to the landfill? Why are they dumping here? And then you see the dust and debris, and you look at Miss Jackson, you look at a resident around here and say, hey, sit it out. What can you do? and it's not our property. So we had to acquire the property to get it done. But this is a fake of God. I mean, it didn't come out starting out something that everybody on the same page. The council went out on the same page. You know, we need the money. We need TCQ. Everybody want to blame everybody, but we had to come together as one. I mean, the community was blaming each other. Council was blaming each other. But the point is that what we had to do is listen to the residents. We had to listen to the people who live in here. Every day worrying about, you know, debris, the shingle, you know, the lead, what's going on. But if we did not take in consideration of the resident and listen to them and my colleagues who came out here, and I go all the way back to Jennifer Gates, you know, go all the way back, a whole lot of council members who are not on the council today came out here and saw this site and saw all the shingles and said these shingles caused this problem. But more we dug into it, it wasn't the shingles. It was something held way back in the 1970s. And it's covered up. But that's what the community was going through for all these many years. And now, environmental justice, I think today is a good day. Anyone else?
I'd like to ask a question to Mrs. Jackson.
Miss, you got it, sir. Miss Jackson.
Now, just tell us what your life was like when Shingle Mountain was here and how it's changed since the removal, and then what's the future going to be like for you?
As you heard Representative Rose say, that when the shingles was here, I couldn't even let my great-grandkids come over there. If you hear me, you hear my voice now. That's some of the experience I've gone through. Because of the shingles was there for so long, my vocal cords are permanently damaged. I still go through speech therapy. It has been better. Some of my neighbors' children went to the hospital. But people have to understand, when you have environmental justice, you have to be educated on the issues that it attract our health. And these are some of the things that we do. I can now still walk my dog down the street. I can't stay out as much as I used to because of that. The pollution is not as bad, but we still have some environmental justice we're still working with in District 8, as the councilman spoke of as well.
Ma'am, what's your reaction to knowing that the shingles was not the biggest problem? There was something hidden down there, you know, not like soil.
To me, I have a creek right here. This is a flood zone. And the lead in that ground where it was before and now here, that still affect us. That we have discussions on that because we have flooded down here 2 or 3 times. So not only just the shingle, as they said, the lead. So this is a great day for that lead to be removed. And we're going to move forward from that, and we're going to continue fighting against environmental injustice as well.
Ma'am, I saw you shedding a tear just a few moments ago. Why is that?
As I said, if we had spoke before, I might not have been to this place where I am now, but you still have to look at where we are now. We're all working together. You see us here together. You see us here at the press conference. Like Councilman said, we were against each other. Allies were against each other. Community were against each other. But this is a great day that we right here together now. And to avoid some of these harms that we've been having, you know, I've been damaged permanently. You can't fix that, but what we are here today to fix those others that don't want to have the same reaction that I have had as well.
So does your granddaughter come over now?
My granddaughter lived with me, recently moved, but my great-grandchildren still come, but I still don't let them stay outside as much. When their leg was removed, things might be a little bit different.
Your reaction on the time it took from 2018 up to now, what do you think about that? Is it a long span for you? Tell me more about it.
Well, the 2018, let me just say that the shingles were removed in 2021. I think that was faster than some other. Even some allies will say that usually would take years and years before we get to that point. We worried if the remediation was going to happen, but it did happen now, and we at this point now. So I am so grateful and so thankful. Not only speaking for me, I also speak for my community as well. We did not think we were going to see that day, but it's here now.
Now, what do you see for the future for you with when everything is cleaned up a year from now?
as the councilman said, that we're working through authorized hearing, we're working through $4. We expressing and talking with the city staff on what we want in the community. And everybody knowing, I know what you're getting to. Yes, the neighbors still want a part, but we're gonna discuss that after we finish remediation and go back into closed doors and finish discussing it, what we can do about that as well.
And-
What would you like to see? Personally.
Personal, I would like to see a floor form park. We don't have any sidewalks. Our kids don't have anywhere to go. So that's my issue, and we'll continue advocating for that as well.
Yeah, and one thing, no one know what the future might hold, and that's the key. And we don't know what the future might hold. As she said, we got an authorized hearing going on, but this authorized hearing do not encompass the whole area. It don't encompass the landfill. It don't encompass all the traffic 310. So we gotta look and make sure we are very, very careful, whatever we do, when we clean this property up. Make sure it's safe for the resident, the next generation, over and over. It gotta be safe. And it can't just be this one little sliver of property. It gotta be everything around there to be safe. Because as Ms. Jackson said, it's a floodplain. And with a floodplain, you still got erosion going off over and over. And we still got a landfill right across the street. We should remember, we still got a landfill. But we are gonna make sure it's safe, and thank to Tony Rose. I think she got a little presentation for you, something.
Yes,
And I'm kind of slip over here and,
Now you stand on the other side of me.
okay.
Again, as I mentioned in my comments, Ms. Jackson has made this issue, brought it to the Texas legislature. But not only that, this not just in the state of Texas. This became a national issue. I've seen national documentaries on it, and it's all because of her advocacy and her diligence in making sure that we are here today. And on behalf of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, I would like to present her with the Outstanding Texan Award that she received and wasn't able to come down. So I thought when I was going to bring it to you, and I thought about it, us being here today, and I thought today would be the perfect day to give you this recognition. And thank you for your continued advocacy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Sir, has there been any impact on the water?
On the water, I guess Carlos here,
There it is, right there.
on the water, but I do know that we are in the floodplain, and we know on the south side there are some vegetation is growing, and I think we look at TCQ. We're in the process of looking at whatever that runoff going to be, and he can speak more into environmental on the water issue, the runoff.
So the erosion controls have worked very well at this property. So the lead contaminated soil has remained on the property. I'll introduce Dr. Kenneth Tram from Modern Geosciences. He's our consultant, but his team conducted a robust set of testing and sampling on the property, and we've identified the fact that the lead contaminated soil has stayed on the property. So it hasn't moved off through storms and erosion. It has stayed on the property. Now we need to get that off into the McComas Bluff landfill, but I'm not sure if you have anything else.
Sure. I appreciate the question. So as I understand your question, obviously Carlos just spoke to the specifics about surface movement. There's also a concern about vertical movement and the way we evaluate that is we actually set monitor wells and we look at the lower groundwater bearing unit and samples were taken and there was no impact. Not only just of lead, we looked for hundreds of compounds. So that's how we know that part of it. So now we know where it is, and that's what's led to the remedial plan we have today.
Any other questions? Thank you.